Over these last days, the question has been asked, where are we? What is it that is here when our body, mind and soul are in alignment and the three dimensions of existence, the duality, the spirit and the consciousness or oneness are merged? Divine Mother had several sayings that she quoted often. She would say, we have to have discrimination, renunciation, and concentration. Discrimination between the real and the unreal, renunciation of what is not real, and concentration on what is real. And then she would often say, anything that changes is not real. As a reminder of several stories, and see what it evokes for us relative to this question and these statements. The first is that story about Jesus, who in the Sufi tradition is called Isa. And there was that time when Isa was walking along the road with his disciple Simon Peter, when they came across a man, a farmer, whose wagon had tipped over into a ditch, spreading all his goods that he was taking to the market all over the road, and his eggs and his produce of all kinds. And he was kneeling beside his wagon, importuning God, saying, oh God, I've tried to be a good man. I know that I've failed in my prayers sometimes and doing good and so forth, but oh please, how can this happen to me? Won't you help me? But as Isa and Simon Peter were walking by, Isa turned to Simon Peter and said, just keep walking. Not greeting or acknowledging the farmer in any way at all, completely ignoring him in his hour of need. And Simon Peter was quite aghast at this, but he kept his silence. And further down the road, they came across another farmer, this time a farmer with a load of hay, and his wagon had also lost a wheel and tipped over, spreading the hay all over the road. And this farmer was railing at God. He was abusing God, using all the vitriol he could find. And so as they were walking by, Isa went over to him and said, oh my good man, what a dire straits you're in. And the farmer turned on him. Don't you bother me, what are you interrupting a man who's in dire straits? And he started swearing and sending vitriol to Isa. Well, Isa went right up to the farmer and with giving him a king punch, knocked him right out cold. And Simon Peter couldn't understand what was going on, but while the farmer lay there, laid out, unconscious, Isa got busy, and with his powers he put all the hay back on the wagon and fixed the wagon wheel, and then he and Simon Peter went on their way down the road. Of course, as they got on further, Simon Peter asked Jesus why he had done that, ignored a pious man who was obviously in dire straits and helped someone who was obviously of a different kind. And the story is left because you've heard it before, so you know the end of what the story was as to what Isa said to Simon Peter. But then there's that other story about the man who came to a great Sufi master, and he said to him, "You know, I've been a good man all my life. I've tried to do good without judgment of anyone, and I would like to learn the Sufi way, the way of the Sufis. May I travel with you to see how it is that the Sufi way is unfolded?" And the Sufi master said, "Yes, you may travel with me, but only on the condition that you do not question anything that is done. If you question me 3 times, then we must part our ways." So the traveller followed the Sufi master on his journeying, on his pilgrimage, and it so happened that they came to a wide river where they had to take a ferry boat across. Well, they did not have much money, and they bargained with the ferry boat owner, and he allowed them to cross for no charge, seeing that this was obviously a great sage of some kind. But halfway across the river, the Sufi took a knife and he made a hole in the bottom of the boat, letting in water. And the traveller was aghast. How could he do this when we were given largesse by the ferry boat owner? And he questioned the master about this, and the master said, "You promised that you would not question anything that was done." So the traveller had to keep his silence, and they went further on their travels, and they came to a certain kingdom where, seeing the great sage and recognizing him because of his patchwork robes, etc., they were invited by the king to hospitality, and they were invited to go on a hunt with them. So they were given horses, and it so happened that amongst the entourage of those who were on the hunt was the prince, the young son of the king. But when they were on their ride, galloping along, the Sufi sage purposely raced his horse and tripped up the horse on which the young prince rode. The young prince fell from his horse and broke his leg so badly that he was disabled for the remainder of his life. And the traveller was aghast. How could you do this when we were given the hospitality of this monarch? And again the sage said, "You promised that you would not question what was done." So the traveller had to keep his peace once again. So they went on their travels, and they came to a city where people were of a different faith and began to throw vitriol, in fact stones and other things, at the sage and the traveller, and they were run out of the city, not welcomed at all. But then the sage said to the traveller, "Come, we have a task to undertake," because they saw that their town wall had crumbled in a certain place. And the sage said, "Come, we have work to do to repair this wall." So between them they toiled, sweat pouring from their brows, as they gathered stones to repair the wall of the city that was so unwelcoming to them. And again the traveller questioned his sage, "How would you do this? Why would you do this when we were treated so badly? Repair the wall of this city." And the sage replied, "This is the third time you have questioned me, and as was said, if you did so, we would part our ways." But before doing so, the sage relayed to the traveller the reasons for why these three occurrences took place. Perhaps you can glean what the answers were, but they're not relevant now as the story's been told before. They come back to our question, where are we? And what is it that is present here when our body, mind and soul are in alignment and united with the three dimensions of existence, duality, spirit, consciousness of interrelatedness. How do these stories, and what do they invoke for us as an awareness of where we are in this place when alignment and life are one? And what has Divine Mother's statements? We have to have discrimination, renunciation, and concentration. The real and the unreal. What is it now that we can state, recognize, surrender to and obey as being real, unchanging? For us. Anything that changes is not real. What is real for us now? What is it that does not change? What is it that's here? Where are we when body, mind and soul are aligned in the dimensions of life are merged? Discrimination, renunciation, and concentration between the real and the unreal.